The College Football Experience Week 9 reaction show episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Start crushing college football and the NFL with Rhythm. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm.
This is Jerry Glanville, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride, brother.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the College Football Experience Week 9 reaction show. A day late. We knew this would be happening as I continued to move cross country live from Houston, Texas. As we continue on this journey, youtube.com/the college experience. It was a wild week of college football. We're going to talk about that, as obviously 12-team playoff looming. The sport is just healthier than it's ever been because of that, because of whatever NIL, whatever you want to say, transfer portal. We're going to talk all about it. Yeah, I mean, just a fantastic day. Obviously, I missed being in the studio with the 20 TVs, but I've caught up on a lot of the stuff.
Hey, real quick, thanks to Colby D for the extra TV. Able to watch 4 more games this weekend.
Lifesaver, right? You throw in, you can go split screen. You get eight games on there.
Well, you know what I'm doing? I'm doing 5 at a time. I'm doing a main screen on the big one, and then on the 42-incher, I got 4. So I'm catching all the action, but you gotta pick and choose the main screen.
Amen. Folks, if you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swing at Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Yes. I mean, there's just so many interesting races going on, conference races.
There really are. Dude, it's so much better at this point in the year. This is normally the time I felt it in terms of this is where I normally start to tune out and go NFL, right? Yeah. Is because so many of these races cease to matter in week 8 and week 9. You get to November, only a few more races matter. Not the case this year.
Yes.
Not the case.
Yes, not the case at all. And I thought last week I did conference by conference, and really that picked up some traction. Got some DMs preferring that than just me going chronologically on the game. So
okay,
let's just start with I think this was the biggest game in the SEC. I guess that's all subjective, and and this game drove me absolutely crazy because of I got it right. Me and NC Nick locked up. Actually, you joined us, I believe, on the Texas A&M Aggies. I don't want to get ahead of myself here.
What was the spread on that bad boy again?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
I said, what was the spread on that bad boy again?
Well, it matters what you got it at. I believe it was flirting around a pick to 1 to even 2. Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic game, and LSU had a lead, and Texas A&M made a quarterback change and won 38-23. And one of the things I liked about this was the fact that I have a future for Texas A&M to make the playoffs. I also have a future for their win total over, as well as to make the SEC championship. And Patty C, they're undefeated in the SEC.
Yeah.
They have a scary, scary game coming up in Williams-Brice. Then they get New Mexico State, who's not in the SEC, despite how many SEC opponents they've played over the past decade. They're still, I guess they're still waiting for that to go through. Then they're at Auburn and home to the Texas Longhorns. I'll be honest. If they can get through South Carolina, I think they're in, man. I think they're going to get in the SEC championship.
Let me. I mean, they have to beat Texas, right?
Well, I think they will, but I'm saying, like, that would be 2 losses.
I don't know how you can possibly consider that a shoo-in.
I mean, because it's at A&M, and I just don't think Texas looks great this year.
Texas is very good. I think Texas A&M. I mean, what have they really proven? This was the biggest thing that they've proven.
And Missouri.
Whooping Missouri was impressive.
Who's still somehow ranked, by the way, but
well, 62. But yeah, I mean, the close loss against Notre Dame looks better and better. You know, the more distance we get.
And it was Elko's first game. Yeah. I mean,
and that score, that 10-point final margin is not nearly how close that game actually was. A&M could have easily won that game.
So look, we know LSU and Bama play each other, but LSU doesn't have the tiebreaker against A&M. So I guess technically LSU could still get there. Maybe I got a little bit ahead of myself by saying A&M is penciled in if they beat South Carolina. But my point is that you got to think they're pretty close because look, Texas and Georgia, there's a tiebreaker for the Bulldogs, right? Yeah. Tennessee and Georgia play each other. LSU and Bama play each other. I know Bama's 1 game back. I mean, I guess theoretically they're not. If they,
well, you made a really good point with that Texas and Georgia having a tiebreaker because A&M's 1 loss is in the non-conference play.
That's what I'm saying.
And so if Texas A&M takes a loss and then manages to beat Georgia, they'll still have the head-to-head over Georgia, and Texas will have the over Texas rather, and Texas will have the head-to-head over Georgia, and so the trickle down.
No, Georgia will have the head-to-head over Texas. Georgia beat Texas.
Oh, you're right. So maybe that becomes more of like a next tiebreaker situation between Texas A&M and Georgia. Although, who else would even be in the conversation at that point?
Well, LSU. Because they only have 1 loss in conference. Yeah. Tennessee, if they can beat Georgia, they only have 1 loss in conference. And I guess you can't count out Alabama because they could beat LSU.
You can't really count out Ole Miss either.
Well, and Bama has the tiebreaker on Georgia.
Yeah,
so
that's true too.
You know,
it's kind of wide open a little bit. But I mean, Bama's 2 losses are to who again?
Bama's 2 losses are to Tennessee and Vanderbilt.
That's so ridiculous.
Vandy's still alive too. Let's go.
Damn, they almost had that. That was pretty damn impressive. But yeah, the 1 loss in conference teams right now you have to figure there will be 2 1-loss teams in conference at the end of the regular season. So I don't see a 2-loss team getting in from the SEC, at least from a conference record standpoint. So I think you're right. I think it's probably going to be the winner of the Texas A&M game, which we projected in the preseason, and then the fact that that's at Texas A&M, I would say you're right. I think Texas A&M looks slightly better right now. And then probably the winner of the Georgia-Tennessee game is the other team.
Yeah. And I guess the Bama LSU game, screams playoff potential. Like as the winner of that.
Well, I will say this, based on how things have shaken out, it'll be interesting to see how the committee looks at this. But I had said that between the Big Ten and the SEC, there should probably be 7 teams that come out of the.
If BYU and Iowa State keep winning.
Well, yeah, I mean, you figured this. You got your group of 5, right? That's 1. Notre Dame probably will be at most years, so that's 2, and then you have 10 teams left. If you give 7 to the Big Ten / SEC, that leaves 3 for the ACC and Big 12.
Maybe they deserve 2
each. What's that? They need who to lose?
Like, BYU. I'm sorry, not BYU. SMU, Miami, and Clemson do not play each other. Right?
Yeah.
Also, BYU and Iowa State do not play each other in the regular season. Right?
Yeah. Oh, if all 5 of those finish with 1 loss or 2 losses with 11 wins, 11-2, then yeah, I think any 10-2 SEC team deserves to be jumped. Whether it'll happen or not, is another story. But certainly an 11-2 SMU deserves to be in over like a 10-2 Alabama or LSU. I think if they played in their conference championship, definitely. I don't know if that'll happen though. We'll see.
Yeah, but I mean, the game was fantastic. But one of them, there's so much I want to say here. If you didn't catch the LSU A&M game, now LSU had a 17-7 lead at halftime. A&M storms back, scores 31 in the second half after the quarterback change.
Reed, gosh, what a
Marcel
Reed,
and he only threw a few passes. Like they just kind of just.
Reed
this
option.
is why
Reed optioned him. Hello.
Well, Colin Klein, bringing in Colin Klein as the offensive coordinator, who kind of did this as a quarterback himself at Kansas State. And then you get the Elko defense improving, with each and every week.
It's funny what happens when you bring 2 like dudes that know X's and O's together. Fucking magic happens. That's why I've been harping on Rich Rod and fucking Bud Foster for as long as I have. It's like, it's amazing how infrequently that happens, that you get 2 experts of X's and O's together. But you're right. Colin Klein has that background, and Mike Elko is clearly an X's and O defensive guy. And what happens? All of a sudden, you take advantage of the talent you have.
Yeah. And this game was first off, did you watch this game? Did you get a chance to watch this whole game when it was happening?
The whole thing. That was on the main the whole time.
The receiver that they got ejected for blindside block and targeting was the worst call.
I saw you mad about that.
Well, the guy, first off, he's looking the guy straight on. The player turns. So it can't be a blindside block at that point.
Yeah.
And then for them to review that and say targeting, I completely disagree. I thought his hands hit his face first. And like they brought on that yes man announcer, that former ref or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, you see that? And it's like, how can it be that? I don't understand the rules, and these gutless announcers once again don't question it and say, wait, he's looking at him. Now, if he had hit him a couple seconds before, then it would have been blindside. But at that point, he was seeing him perfectly straight on. Yeah. And it's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous that no one speaks up on this.
If you hit a dude square in his chest, right? If he has taken more than 2 to 3 steps in your direct direction, and you hit him in his chest, and the fact that he hasn't, swiveled his head to look straight forward, that can no longer be considered a blindside block. That is a really terrible part of the sport right now.
Dude, that almost ruined a touchdown drive. It put them back 15 yards. A&M still scored. But, I just thought it was just disgusting. And Herbstreit spoke up a little bit saying, I like a receiver that blocks like this, but he still kind of saves himself. But this is the way the game is these days. You can't. And I'm like, question it. Question it.
Let's give Herbie a little credit for even, calling it into question somewhat. Sometimes he just plays it completely safe. I don't know, but you're right. Herbstreit normally, calls it into question a little bit and then gives it the okay, and the whole crowd and the whole audience presumably goes, oh, okay. Herbie said it's okay. It's okay. You do need to just sit there and say, this is wrong.
Yes.
This is wrong.
No one will say that. Yeah. And I find it absolutely like annoying because I'm like, what did he do wrong? The guy turned, so it's dead on. It's dead on at that point. No one addressed that. No one addressed that video. They're watching it like 10 times. And it's like, no, he is actually not blindsided at all. He is actually right in front of his face. It can't be the helmet to helmet if it's not right in front of his fucking face. I mean, I guess theoretically it could, but not really. I don't know. That just drove me crazy. But Brian Kelly loses another game where they have a big lead.
Brian Kelly's going to Brian Kelly shit. It just comes down to like toughness.
How long is he going to last?
What he does, he coaches. They probably give him another year. If he finishes 9-3, he gets one more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they won't tolerate that again. He needs to be in the playoff next year. I'll say that.
Or maybe this year he still could, but you just wonder. I feel like every big game he's lost for the Bama game. He had the Bama 2-point conversion game.
He needs to win a playoff game by next year. If he hasn't won a playoff game by next year, bye.
Yeah. Fascinating there as Mike Elko and A&M cash for me and NC Nick and Patty C. Let's go. Let's talk about the rivals. And by the way, did you see Elko's comments after the game? I couldn't help but think he was talking about Steve Sarkisian and
I didn't see it. What did he say?
Well, let me see if I can quickly pull that up right now, because I don't want to try to paraphrase after several cocktails. Actually, yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. But he basically said, here we go. Let me see if I got this. He says, "This is a real program. It's not fake. It's not a politician running this program, talking fast and BSing everybody. This is a real program, and all the recruits out there, this is a real place." Now R. Wright is saying I think he was talking about Jimbo. I've heard some people say he was talking about Brian Kelly, and I was in Austin, Texas when this happened, and a lot of people thought he was talking about Steve Sarkisian.
It could apply to any of those guys. Yeah. I would say Jimbo, least of which. Jimbo.
Why would he shit on Jimbo?
Yeah. Jimbo is real. Jimbo is as real as it fucking comes.
I also like he was a DC for like his biggest paying gig, and that got him a head coaching position at Duke. I don't think he would throw Jimbo under the bus.
Yeah, why would he be inclined to do that? Especially if he's trying to like prove that A&M of all places, where Jimbo just was a real program. Unless Jimbo, as he's saying, ran it into the ground. But no, I thought Jimbo tried his best. It just couldn't get over the hump like so many other coaches at A&M.
Yeah,
but dude, in terms of like glad-handing politician types, that screams Texas.
Yeah,
and it also kind of screams Brian Kelly.
It does. But, it could be Brian Kelly too.
Yeah.
But Elko worked under Brian Kelly too at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're shitting on your own guys. I don't think he would do that.
No. It's probably Texas.
Yeah, it's probably Texas. Shout out to John Silva in the chat. He goes, "Yo, I watched the show yesterday morning. Parlayed Campbell, Florida A&M, and Idaho. It all hit. Appreciate it."
My man going out on a limb there. He said Campbell, Florida A&M, and Idaho.
Those were all my locks on the pregame show. I said, touch that. Hit that thing. Done. Also, shout out to Diego. I'm sorry, Damani talking about Diego. Felt bad for Sark. Let's talk about that because Texas survives. I know you had texted saying the defensive line of Texas just destroying Vanderbilt.
Yeah, holy shit.
Diego Pavia was getting his ass whooped, but he still had a pretty solid day. But
that was a great performance by Vanderbilt.
Texas 27, Vanderbilt 24. You gotta think I don't understand that play call on a 4th and 2 or 4th and 1.
What happened at the end? I know the throw that probably it either was or should have been intercepted, or maybe it was and it was called back. But that was pathetic. But that was just it seemed like every play for the entire last drive, Diego Pavia was getting like 5 guys in his face immediately.
Yeah, he was. Now the second to last drive. Or sorry, I guess it would technically be I think it was the second drive. Second to last drive. They went for a 4th and 2 at like their own 42, maybe. And I thought they should have ran Pavia. Instead, they did a passing play, and obviously he was pressured. I thought they should have ran Pavia, and I thought he would have got the 2 yards. But that was pretty much the game, because at that point, Texas gets the ball. They score to make it a 10-point game. Vanderbilt drives back to make it a 3-point game. But Vandy had the momentum, I thought, and that call kind of killed everything there. But
they battled their way back into that game, but Texas was the better team, which of course they should be.
But I still didn't think here's my issue, and where I would push back on some of the stuff. They never look sharp to me. And beat
Vandy by 3 should be concerning.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, to me, Sarkisian, obviously he's got the talent level is better, whether it's Sarkisian, whether it's the athletic director that came in from TCU that I'm drawing a blank on his name right now, but they got the talent even to me, like to even a higher level than Tom Herman and Charlie Strong's situation. But I still say like, okay, short of that blowout Texas Tech win last week or some of the group of 5 teams, they blew out Texas Tech by like 30. No, Jeremiah Donati's the TCU guy now.
TCU currently. Yeah.
But my point is that
Chris Del
Conte. Yes, it's Chris Del Conte. Yeah. They just never look. You know how you'd watch. To me, even certain Ohio State teams or Alabama teams or the LSU team with Burrow, even some of the Oregon teams, I feel like they look super fucking crisp, right? They look super prepared and super crisp. I never get that feeling with Texas, and I still feel like they're going to be a playoff team. Then they could win it just because you get in.
Let me push back on you. A little bit, because I don't feel like what makes Texas a title contender is necessarily the crispness of their offense or defense, whatever it is. I think it is the versatility, right? And their ability to play anyone, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be razor sharp, but they have superior talent across the board, right? And so all they have to do is find the weak point in the opposing team and match up well enough against the strong point in the opposing team. They're going to come out on top most of the time, you know?
Yeah, but I just worry, like, I mean, I know the schedule's favorable for them. You look at what, Kentucky did. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know that he's the guy. I don't know that he's the guy that's going to bring them a national championship. Just because, like, he'll get him to the playoffs, sure.
He's not. I feel
like
he's not Nick Saban at his best. That's for sure.
Well, even like I said, I mean, Ed Orgeron had that LSU team in 2019, like looking super fucking elite. Like they just looked elite. I don't feel like Texas looks like that.
The keys of the offense. So again, I mean, regardless of who's responsible for it, you're right that like 2019 LSU was razor sharp and super talented, and Texas is super talented or very talented, but not razor sharp. It doesn't look like they have a schematic edge necessarily that they're playing with as well. So I mean that does become a concern in the playoffs, and I think you're right. I think Texas has proven, whether it be the loss to the kind of getting slapped by Georgia or even the close win against Vanderbilt, you can't be super confident that they're just going to come out and dominate for the rest of the way, even if they are maybe the most talented team in the country.
Yeah, I think that's my point. Good win. You got out of there with the win. The remaining schedule. I mean, I could see them losing at Arkansas. 2 weeks from now, I think Arkansas is a team capable of beating them. Not to say, I mean, I think Texas should be favored, but I'm just saying that's one that you have to watch out a little bit for. And then obviously the big one at College Station, they host Florida and Kentucky. Besides that,
let me ask you this: if both teams come into that game 10-1, are both guaranteed a playoff spot? I mean, because here's a huge thing. Notre Dame, even at 10-2, say they lose to Army, they would have an outright
or USC.
win.
Yeah.
Wait, what about USC?
It's true. It's true. Or Notre Dame could lose to USC.
Or USC, right? Assuming Notre Dame has the outright win on A&M, a 10-2 Notre Dame or A&M loses to Texas on the final game of the season, finish 10-2, they're not getting in that spot over Notre Dame. They lost head to head. They're out. If it comes down to those two spots, and Texas kind of likewise because Notre Dame beat A&M and A&M beat Texas. I don't know how much the committee will.
They're going to look at that. I think they'll look at their contributions to to everything,
which are
and
probably
say,
comparable.
Yeah.
Blue bloods and blue bloods.
Interesting though, folks. What a tell you before we talk more SEC football action and more reaction show. That the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Pick'em is one of the biggest menus for all of sports. NFL, they got college football, CFL, MLB, MMA, NBA, NASCAR, college hoops, and much, much more. Boost Uber is upon us, which means you'll be getting a spooky amount of profit boost and much more. So sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right, we are back.
Damani in the chat says, Texas has way better athletes. Presumably, he's talking about their game against Vanderbilt. Yes, obviously they have way better athletes. They should have won by 2 touchdowns. I don't know if you're agreeing what we're saying, Damani, or you're saying that Texas should have won by more. But that's exactly the point. They based on athletes definitely should have won by more, and they didn't. They won by 3. They had to recover an onside kick to make sure that they won that game against a far inferior talent-wise Vandy team.
I would even say they had to stop them on that 4th and 2, because if Vandy had just went down and scored on them, within 3 or 4 minutes before that, had Vanderbilt converted that, they were moving the ball a little bit there over the past couple drives. The momentum was all in Vandy's favor, and they would have taken the lead at that point. So that was
Damani
the biggest play of the game.
Damani says he agrees, so we're all on the same page. Texas, you got to find a way to beat the likes of Vandy by more than 3 if we're going to be convinced of your national championship chops.
Yeah. Elsewhere in the SEC, Alabama 34, Missouri nothing. I mean, I did see a great video of Eli Drinkowitz saying "fuck you" to the Alabama defender that hit Brady Cook late. Essentially, that was a fun video. I appreciate more of that.
Who Drinkowitz said that?
Yeah, you could check the video. I believe I retweeted it.
Let's be honest.
What's that?
Drinkowitz and Signetti are kind of cut from the same cloth a little bit. Nerdy shit talking dudes from like programs that have no business competing on the highest level, but keep finding ways to win. Except for this week, they did get their ass kicked.
They got their ass whooped, and I just can't help that to think that they're still ranked. Where is this nugget that I had? I had this saved somewhere. It was fucking great. Let me see if I can quickly pull this thing up. But and shout out to all the fans, by the way, that went to games and tagged us in it. Part of the experience is getting out to those college football games, wherever D2, D3, it doesn't make a difference, and tagging us at whatever games you're at.
The more obscure the game, the more awesome.
Yeah, the more respect.
The more we appreciate it.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
100%. Where was this? Man, we got okay. Missouri has played 2 ranked teams this season. They've lost by a combined 75-10 score. Why are they still in the top 25? It's a great fucking point. And they've played nobody else outside of that.
Let me push back here.
Vandy's their best win, and they shouldn't even have won
Notre Dame. Who has Notre Dame beaten this year? I guess A&M. So you got that.
Louisville. I guess Louisville's 5-3 or 5-3. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe a little better. Yeah. But yeah, Louis. I mean, especially
and they haven't lost twice. I mean, Missouri's lost twice, and they've gotten their ass whooped in both those games.
And Missouri has escaped some games they very much lost.
The BC game comes to mind. And the Vandy game comes to mind the most. They had no business. Like, I thought Vanderbilt was a better team that day. Bama 34, Missouri nothing. I mean, this was the defensive game Bama needed.
Yeah,
because you just felt like DeBoer was he just needed a shutout win like this to get everyone back.
Well, the questions, I'm sure that the Bama fans were thinking, we're losing to these teams we don't normally lose to. Sure, the Georgia win was great. I'm sure that got them like, okay, we could still beat the number 1 team in the nation. DeBoer has that kind of ceiling with us, but the letdown factor. And in fact, I heard the people on, I think it was College Game Day, saying, that's not something that ever happened on under Saban's watch, is the letdown factor. That he gets them up for every single game. He keeps you on an even keel at a really high level. This was a great performance, in what could be considered a letdown spot. Maybe not a letdown spot, but he had a great performance. And especially because I think, like what you're saying, maybe they got looked at as a little bit soft. Not so soft in this performance. Dominant.
Yeah, and does this eliminate? I know Missouri could still go 10-2, but their best win would be probably Vanderbilt or South Carolina if they did go 10-2.
Missouri's remaining, or who is their best win to this point? They have
Vanderbilt. It's Vanderbilt by far.
Wait, the schedule is so bad.
Yeah.
Murray State, Boston or Buffalo, Boston College, Vanderbilt, UMass, a shitty Auburn team. They have
a shitty Oklahoma team's on deck.
Yeah.
A shitty Mississippi State is on deck later in the season.
This is pathetic. If they go 10-2, please tell me they're not anywhere close to the playoff conversation.
With losses like that, they can't get in, right? There's no way. There's no way, right? Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, tell me I'm right
41-10
here.
and 34-0 against the only two teams that probably should be considered playoff contenders. Yeah, I think that clearly proves that they are not playoff material.
Yeah.
Bye. Sorry, you're already out.
Auburn 24, Kentucky 10. You took Auburn. Me and NC Nick took Kentucky. Didn't bet this.
Boom.
But still, nice.
I knew Auburn was way better. They just kept finding ways to lose. I felt bad for Hugh Freeze. I'm glad that he was able to get this win. It was a nice one.
Well, they were down 10-0 in the first, and I was like, "Oh, we're good." With that offense, they're not coming back from 10-0, but they did. Auburn moves to 4-5, right? Or is it 3-5? 3-5. Do they only have 3 wins? Damn,
Auburn?
Yeah, they're not going bowling, buddy.
Well,
they need to win. So Diego Pavia comes to town this week in Vanderbilt.
It's winnable, but
yeah. Then ULM comes to town.
That's also not a gimme.
Then they're home to A&M. Then they're at Bama. They got to go 3-1. They got to go 3-1 to make a bowl here.
They're not going bowling. In fact, they might finish 0-4. And if they do, if they're 3-9, you got to figure Freeze probably gone. What is this, year 2?
It is year 2. Harsin, I don't know. I think his buyout is pretty tough. You know what I mean? Yeah. But because they already bought out Harsin for after 2 years. But shout out to Hugh Freeze for getting that dub there. Oklahoma, Ole Miss, a phony ass team, dude. Oh, because we know.
All right, by the way, let's backtrack for 1 sec. All right, in the chat asking, is Stoops cooked? I think.
Oh no, he is a lifetime contract there. But I mean, he might retire. He says I can't see Kentucky getting to 6 wins. Well, he can afford. He could go 1-11 and they'd bring him back.
They like him that much,
dude. He has,
especially after flirting with
that program.
A&M.
They would not fire him. I guarantee you, they would not fire him. Now,
you're right.
What do they have right now? They have 3 wins. They still got Murray State on the schedule. That's 4. Yeah, but the other ones are at Tennessee, at Texas, home to Louisville. I doubt they get the 6 wins too, but that's why I took the under. There's no more SEC East. Stoops was a genius in many ways, but he also benefited from a shittier side of the conference. And
5-7 though, after all those successful years.
Yes, they'll still extend him if you wanted. So
even 4-8 might save him. But
dude,
if he beats Louisville at the end of the year,
he could fucking lose out. He could lose to Murray State, and they would keep him.
Well, he would be fucking cooking at that point, but
they'll be fine. Right. He'll be fine. Hold on, I want to talk about this Oklahoma Ole Miss game because watching some of this here, Ole Miss is still phony as shit, buddy. They were losing to Oklahoma at halftime, right?
Yeah.
Oklahoma is like 5 wideouts out. Their offensive line is fucking horrible. Their offense is horrible. Now they did score 16 in the second half and shut out that horrible Oklahoma offense and won 26-14. But I can't help but thinking, watching that game, Ole Miss is still Ole Miss, man.
Okay. Well, let me tell you this. I said that this Ole Miss team is a mirror image of the Tennessee team. They both run the little cha-cha-cha finesse offense that explodes on teams that aren't able to match up with it, but gets bogged down, like you've pointed out many times, against teams that can match up with it. And what happened in the Oklahoma-Tennessee game? 25-15. What happened in the Ole Miss Oklahoma game? 26-14. So it's basically those two are the same team. I don't know that either of those teams belongs in the playoff, and hopefully neither one of them make it.
Yeah,
but I think one will. I think Tennessee might find themselves in the playoff just based on how things are going to shake out here.
Ole Miss is at Arkansas this week. They could. I kind of think Arkansas is going to beat them.
Arkansas's fucking explosion. What happened? I was not watching. That's a Bobby Petrino effect.
Yes,
right
58-25 over Mississippi State. Road Rash Face, aka Bobby Petrino, continues to get it done. And what? Hey, dude, they're 5-3. Like
he's
I know
safe,
he has.
Right?
Oh, he's safe now because I mean, you get to 6, you're good, and they still have La Tech on the schedule, so they'll get to 6. Now, I think they're live in all of these remaining games. I think home to Ole Miss, home to Texas, winnable games. At Missouri, final game of the season, I think they're better than Missouri. So there's a shot, dude. There's a real shot. They could go like 8-4. You know what I mean? There's like, I kind of like if I had to place a wager on what they would finish, I think it's somewhere between 7-5 and 8-4.
What is Pulled Pork Pittman? Presumably, like I don't know if he's a position coach with the line as well as head coach, or if he's just like line oriented. I know that Mike Leach was an offensive line coach for as long as he was. That presumably helps tremendously with the offensive production to have a head coach that has that like orientation. But obviously, Bobby Petrino, a passing game guy, that paid off huge. Taylon Green, who had probably 1,200 passing yards last year, total had 314 and 5 touchdowns this game. So between those two guys, I think that offense is legit as hell. You know,
it's going to be fun to watch down the stretch.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got to think if you go back to that Oklahoma State game, they should have beat Oklahoma State in Stillwater. That game had no business getting to overtime.
Yeah, they were up by what, like 2 touchdowns or something?
Yes, man, they were up double digits most of that game. I think they're up 21. I think at one point. That game is going to like potentially could be right now. If it wasn't for that, people would be talking about them maybe being a team that could potentially, you know, be in the mix for the, you know, be in the mix for the playoffs. But shout out to them destroying the likes of Mississippi State. Now,
really impressive, especially based on how well Mississippi State's been playing lately. That was impressive.
Yeah. Let's shift over to the Big Ten. But before I do that, I want to let the folks know that the college football experience is brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, SGPN's proud partner with Rhythm is the #1 AI powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds and get predictions for betting on money lines, spreads, totals, props. You can build your own model, or you can copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard. Me, I like to build my own, and then Rhythm will adjust around it. But Rhythm gives you predictions for every game and player prop. Also has a slew of stats, research, trend analysis to give you even more betting insight. So what are you doing, folks? Hop on over there. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. We're also brought to you by BetUS. Bet with the best of the business. That is BetUS. BetUS has been around for more than 30 years. You can easily deposit using cryptocurrency and get lightning fast payouts. BetUS is live with Trick or Treat on Horror Street as well. From now until Halloween, BetUS will be offering daily promotions plus a raffle entry to win a sports or casino prize pack that they will give away on Halloween, October 31st there. You can now enter multiple times too. In fact, every $200 deposit gets you one entry. So what are you doing? Hop on over there. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/BetUS. Promo code SGPN so they know we sent you. BetUS, America's favorite sports book. Jumping back into the Big Ten now on the college football experience. YouTube.com/the college experience. Please, if you can, hop on over to Spotify. Give us 5 stars. We've recently learned that really helps the algorithms. It takes 5
Just figured that one out.
Just figured that one. You know, before, we're not hip to the algorithm. All right, unless it's winning
good
bets,
folks from Berkeley.
unless it's winning bets. Which, by the way, I haven't touted enough that I had a pretty fucking awesome Saturday with the FCS and FBS. We touched on A&M coming through for us in the Big Ten. It's the Big Ten. I did eat shit on the Illini as they got just pummeled.
We all did. I feel like that was a triple lock on our part.
That was the most impressive Oregon game. That's more impressive than the Ohio State game, because I can't help but watch the Ohio State Nebraska game and think Ohio State's not that good, man. They're just not that good. Like I don't know.
I think that was just a dud performance by Ohio State.
Just look ahead with Penn State on deck.
Look like maybe, or look ahead, right? I don't know, but no, I feel like that's a matchup thing.
Dude, Ohio they rushed for 64 yards against Nebraska.
It's pretty bad. That's bad.
You have Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. Chip
down.
Kelly's a running guy.
When did they take the lead? Sometime in the fourth, right?
Yeah, they battled back late in the game, man, against a freshman quarterback on his third ever road start.
Very bad performance. Very questionable performance by Ohio State. The type of performance that makes me think they're not a national championship contender.
I agree. They just don't
against real mediocre teams. Typical national championship teams don't lay those kind of duds out there.
So they survive. They're still 6-1. Obviously, they're at Penn State this week. Nebraska, what was it, 0-26 now, or whatever the fuck? I saw this. I saw this tweet against ranked teams. Where the hell is this? Let me see if I can quickly pull this thing up. Yeah, it's I forget. It was some ridiculous stat. Like they're 0-26 in their last 26. Since. I don't know.
Nebraska is essentially Rutgers at this point. They just have none of the mojo needed to pull.
They are going to bowl this year. And that will be a win because they have the biggest bowl drought among all the Power Five or Power Four, whatever the fuck you want to say now. I mean, they better beat UCLA this week though, because if they don't beat UCLA at home in Lincoln, they're at USC, they're home to Wisconsin, they're at Iowa. There is a chance they could go 5-7 if that does not.
No. If they lose this week, they're going 5-7.
yeah. But I don't want to just gloss over the Oregon one.
That's in the Rose Bowl too.
No, that's in Lincoln.
In Lincoln, okay. Nebraska should get that.
I don't want to gloss over Oregon. Oregon looked pretty fucking good, man. Like, that was.
Let's give credit where it's due. As much as we don't want
they had 527 yards of offense to the Illini's 293. I just didn't think. I thought Oregon would win the game, but I didn't think. I thought it would be like, 28-17 or something, 28-10. 28-20, something like that, but I did not see 38-9.
Oregon, again, this you know what this tells you is that Dan Lanning has kept them from being a one-trick pony. Okay, so you have to figure just on being a very elitely, I don't know if that's a word, but like elite Ohio State team on most levels, offensive.
I don't get
whether it be offensive line, wide receiver, running back, probably not quarterback, but most of the defense. Ohio State has 90% elite talent across the board. Ohio State's the type of team that normally would find your weakness and stack up with you on your strength and find a way to beat you. Oregon didn't have that weakness. They have gotten tougher in the trenches, whether it be Cristobal, chopping them up, or Dan Lanning reinforcing that and furthering that. They are a tough team in the trenches. They obviously still have elite skill position talent. And, the fact that they were able to bang with, I think most of us were thinking this is still a sissy Oregon team. And maybe the Ohio State just didn't show up, and Oregon was lucky to, with their finesse, their typical finesse, beat Ohio State by 1 at home. No, they were able to bang with Ohio State, and they were able to bang with Illinois, and then completely outclass them from a skill position standpoint.
Well, that's the thing. If you're comparing the two, you got Ohio State, who came off this bye after a heartbreaking loss, and they look like shit with a big game on deck.
Yeah.
The Oregon got that win against Ohio State, stormed the field, had that bye week. They come out to a ranked Illinois team and destroy them, even though they have the Michigan game on deck at Michigan, the reigning national champs.
Yeah,
I mean,
they probably Michigan probably has their attention even despite their struggles,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
like one looks way more impressive to me. Shout out to the Ducks there.
That's Dan Lanning, coming from whatever. Ultimately that Saban tree, and not having that letdown aspect in his DNA.
Do you know that Oregon, Penn State, and Indiana don't play each other? So hear me out.
Yeah,
here.
That's what I'm saying. There's going to be four Big Ten teams in the playoff. 3 SEC, 4 Big Ten.
Hear me out here. If Penn State beats Ohio State, that's going to eliminate Ohio State from the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah.
Right. Indiana can then lose to Ohio State and then still be in the mix. Or they can beat Ohio State
at 11-1.
Yeah. No, my point is with this is that with Penn State getting past and coming from behind, it's critical pick six. Braden Locke threw for Wisconsin there when they had a lead in the second half. But
Penn State battle, give them credit.
No, definitely. Kotal Nicky is a huge upgrade for them. Drew Aller's questionable for the game against Ohio State though. Wouldn't that be just crushing?
Yeah.
He's got to play, right?
Enough. Yeah.
But look, let's say Penn State does get by them, right? Because they look better than Ohio State, if we're being honest.
Throughout the course of the year, probably comparable. As a matter of fact, I would say Ohio State maybe looks a hair better over the course of the year. But last week, definitely Penn State looked like the better team.
Well, I mean, Penn State also played a better non-con though, getting West Virginia. Marshall.
Yeah.
But my point is that say Penn State falls to like Minnesota on November 23rd, you could have a 3-way tie essentially with the likes of Penn State, Indiana. You need Oregon to drop a game to somebody. Could it be in Ann Arbor this week? Because I'll be honest, actually, they could be in Madison on November 16th. I actually kind of think that will happen. Or maybe the Huskies, who have had a knack for fucking with Oregon.
Oregon still has to go to Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And they got to play Washington. Washington's had their number.
Yeah.
No,
they got Washington this year. Yeah. Either, and look, if none of those teams do take an L, Indiana, that's the biggest question mark. If both Penn State and Indiana can get by Ohio State, then you have 3 12-0 teams at the end of the year. All 3 of those are going to the playoff.
Indiana still hasn't trailed this season.
Fucking awesome.
Indiana wins 31-17 with their backup quarterback Taven Jackson against Washington. Fucking unbelievable. I mean, this is one you wonder, can they get through one more game without, I guess Rourke will be questionable for this upcoming game, but you'll wonder, this is just, is this destiny? They only had 312 total yards of offense, but they won by double digits. Yeah. Remarkable.
Very much rush oriented attack. And as a matter of fact, Travis Hunter for Colorado, 9 catches, plus 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. And who's my guy? Elijah Surratt, only 1 catch for 12 yards. So you're looking pretty good on the comparison this week. However, I will say that Indiana spreading the ball out is kind of
a tie
part of Indiana's strength. I think Indiana's strength is their unpredictability. They have a bunch of weapons. They spread the ball around. You have no idea who's getting the ball, and deal with it. Stop it, motherfuckers. Stop it. And you can't. Indiana is legit. I think Indiana is a Big Ten contender at the very least.
Dude, let me tell you this: if Indiana wins this week at Michigan State,
yeah,
I think they're gonna beat Michigan and Bloomington. I think they're gonna beat Purdue and Bloomington. Then you win this week, 11-1 might get you that spot.
No, you're in. You're in.
Well, you need Ohio State to lose again. Yeah,
you're hosting. No, you're talking about.
You mean in the
playoffs?
Yeah, you're in the playoffs. Yes,
you
agreed.
Might be in the Big Ten championship. You're right.
Tell me that's not just an unbelievable fucking story, and this is why the sport continues to like the 12-team playoff, but also just giving access to that, and they can what he can do building on that too, and all that cigarette, the Signetti cigarette ads that they were doing. That for all preseason and shit. That
Give
shit
that
is
man
fire.
some money.
That shit is fire. Yeah.
Who's the brand that is benefiting from that? I'm not a
Marlboro
smoker.
Marlboro.
Yeah. He should get a contract with them right now.
Well, we cashed. We cashed on Minnesota against Maryland. What an easy fucking play. Looks like we got to go for 48-23.
I Benedict Dan told that on Saturday morning when I was putting it into a tally site. What a mistake. As soon as that game started, I was like, wait, why did I do that?
24-0, I think, after one, or somewhere right around that. Maryland got the USC game. Yeah. They're not bowling now with that loss because they got Oregon, home to Rutgers, which I think they could get, home to Iowa, at Penn State.
And they have how many wins at this point? They have
4-4. Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably not bowling.
Even with the huge win, that's the irony. They're going to go 5-7, and they have Lockley's best win of his Maryland career against USC, where they stormed the field. The only time they've stormed the field.
Oh, he'll keep his job. He'll keep his job.
Yeah. Iowa, I ate shit on Northwestern plus 14 here. I also ate shit with Nebraska, with Ohio State and Nebraska there, but Iowa looked really damn good. Patty C. Iowa had how do you score this many points with just 355 yards of offense?
Classic. How does the high passer of the day have 79 passing yards?
How do you score 40 points? It's fantastic. I'm
glad my boy Caden Weegan finally took one to the house. He probably should have a few by now. I think he's one of the best punt returners in the nation.
Iowa has he is. Iowa has a huge game at home against Wisconsin this week. If they get through that, they're going 9-3. And
still disappointing.
It is disappointing, but are they officially eliminated from the
Big Ten play?
They can still get to the Big Ten championship.
Who are their losses to?
Iowa State in the Big 12.
Yeah.
Ohio State, which might not be a factor in a way. That could be the team in there. You know what I mean? And then Michigan State.
Ohio State has a loss to Oregon. If they get a loss to Penn State and Indiana, you're right. Then Ohio State doesn't have the tiebreaker on Iowa. It would take a lot of shit to happen. But if Indiana beat Ohio State, then I think Iowa is out. I think Iowa probably is out. I don't know about mathematically, but
I don't think mathematically. I think they're still technically alive, but they need a lot of work.
1% chance. Yeah.
And now let me ask you this: at 9-3, there's just no way, right? Even in the Big Ten, right?
That they get in? No, not this year. No, I don't think so. Although I will say this. The fact that the group of five, the fact that Notre Dame's up, as long as Notre Dame's having a good year, a fringe Big Ten or SEC team is screwed, especially a 3-loss team. If Notre Dame's having a down year, then maybe you see a 3-loss SEC or Big Ten team in. But as long as Notre Dame finishes with 2 losses or less, they're getting in over they might not get in, but they'll be placed over an SEC or Big Ten team with 3 losses.
Yeah, I want to have a conversation about that in a minute because it's already bothered me. But USC 40, Rutgers 20 on Friday night. We cashed on this one.
See the crowd for this one?
Oh, the crowd looked like one of my stand-up shows. It was like there were 16 people there. But I don't care. I mean, shit, it hit, but it was pretty pathetic. Miller Moss went for over 300. Rutgers has been hitting rough seas. Their defense, which we thought was the anchor coming into this, it's going to be hard for them to get to a bowl. They might be able to end up 6-6. This was the year to do it with that schedule. They fucked up, man. They should have went all in. They fucked up.
You commit to the Greek rifle. These are the results you're going to get. How is Rutgers not able to do better than that?
You got to get to a bowl this year. Like you got to get so they're 4-4. The remaining schedule is home to Minnesota, winnable. At Maryland, winnable. Home to Illinois, winnable. At Michigan State, winnable. You could still go 8-4, but they're trending the wrong direction right now. So I kind of think they're going to end up I think they're going to be 5-7 at best, 6-6. Yeah. They got to get to 6-6. Yeah, get to a bowl, and then build on that.
You get to a bunch of bowls in a row. You go 6-6 10 times in a row. Rutgers is building you a statue. Let's be honest.
Yeah, the chat. Shout out to all right. He's saying USC is going to go 6-6 as well. They're 4-4. They're pathetic. At Washington this week. Home to Nebraska. At UCLA. Home to Notre Dame. I actually think they're going to go 7-5. If I had to
they're way better than 6-6. It's pathetic enough that 7-5 is where they're at.
Yeah. We have Michigan State and Michigan. I lost on this too, man. I lost on Michigan State plus 5.5 as they lose by 7. Patty C. Any chance Michigan? They're home to Oregon, at Indiana, home to Northwestern, at Ohio State. Are they bowling? All they got to do is beat Northwestern.
Rattle those off again.
Home to Oregon,
probably
at Indiana.
Could be a loss.
Home to Northwestern.
Win.
At Ohio State, that is. So like they're probably going to be.
They might do 2-2. They might do 2-2 in that stretch, which puts them at what, 7-5?
No, 2-2 would put them at 7-5. Yes, but
if they go 1-3, which is probably where they should be projected, but the fact that they get Indiana and Oregon at home, maybe they get one of those. So maybe 7-5, but 6-6 seems very possible.
Yeah, folks, I want to tell you that the college football experience. First off, thank you for tuning in to the college football experience. If you could head over to Spotify and give us a 5-star rating. Only you can help prevent corporate gambling from taking over. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride. Yes, back on the college football experience here. We've pretty much talked all Big Ten here. Penn State with a dominating performance in the second half against Wisconsin, I would say, and this could be a magical season there in State College. Big game. If they struggled with Ohio State so much, it's such a gigantic game this week that you're going to need Aller. I know he's questionable. Personally, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. He's going to play, but after that, you look at it: home to Washington, at Purdue, at Minnesota. I think Minnesota could be the one that could really give them some problems, maybe, and then home to Maryland. So it's kind of. You get to Ohio State, you can just go ahead and solidify them, I think, in the Big Ten championship. The game's obviously always got to be played, but I would just say I don't really see Washington, Purdue, or Maryland posing a threat. It's Minnesota, and then with one loss, I still think you'd be okay. So, yeah. Robert Martin in the chat saying I sound like Smokey the Bear. Only you can help prevent sports gambling. Yes. Or I'm sorry, corporate sports gambling. Yeah. Michigan State, Michigan. Where are we at with Sharon Moore in general? And Michigan State is 4-4. Jonathan Smith can still get to a bowl game, but I think he is, but Where you at with Sharon Moore, Patty C, in Michigan?
I think you have to be a little bit concerned. I think it's fair for you to look at Jim Harbaugh's history of quarterbacks and say, hey, it took Harbaugh, despite being a supposed quarterback whisperer, to finally get JJ McCarthy, who, let's be honest, like was good, but did he like reek of prototype NFL quarterback? I don't think so. He was a little bit short, probably. What was he, like 6'2", and a little bit thin, and not necessarily a rocket arm. He did a good job in the system. Obviously, he was a good enough quarterback to run that system that was based on defense and running the ball with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. But now there's no quarterback again, which was the case for a long time. And Michigan, I would say the other parts of Michigan's attack, whether it be their defense or their offense or their run game, are big question marks. So, yeah, I think you got to give him year 2. But right now, he's got to do something. He's got to figure something out because, look, maybe David Shaw, look at that as an example. It's like Harbaugh left that situation, and the defense and the running game were such a staple of that attack that you should be able to lean on that and get like 8, 9, 10 wins most years for about 3 or 4 years until you're on your own. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, I still think it's a disappointing year, but as long as you get to a bowl, I think you said we won the Natty. We had all these sanctions, all this shit going on, and you build on that. We got Portnoy offering $3 million per year for a QB, like Trick or Treat says in the chat, and. Okay.
Well, that's the other part. I feel a little bit bad for Sharon Moore, and probably comparing him to David Shaw isn't fair, just because things change so much faster now than they did then. Like you can be on the top of the game, and then like boom, turn around and you got nothing working for you. So give him time to build his own thing.
So wait, if you had to pick right now, is your SEC title game Georgia Texas rematch, or is it A&M? I almost feel like A&M is going to get in. I mean, anyway, I know I'm all over the place here, but the reason why I say that is I wanted to get your Big Ten championship prediction because we're on the Big Ten. But then I thought, wait,
SEC, since we didn't really hammer that out yet. I think you're right. I think Georgia, Texas A&M looks like the play. Obviously, if not, it's going to be Georgia, Texas. So whoever wins that game in College Station at the end of the year, and then you assume Georgia's going to win out. So probably Georgia. I want to say Georgia A&M, which is that what was that both of our preseason picks?
I believe it was. I believe we that was our we're
looking at pretty fucking smart right now.
How about in the Big Ten though? Because I'm curious, is it Penn State, Oregon? Is it Indiana, Oregon? Is it Indiana, Penn State? Is it Ohio State, Oregon? I mean,
it's Ohio State, Oregon. You
really
just have to figure. I figure Ohio State laid a dud this week. I would love it, and I know you've said this recently too, that you want to see the baton pass for all intents and purposes, and see the Big Ten have Penn State, ascend to the top of the heap, especially among those traditional Big Ten East schools where it's been Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State for the longest, and Penn State has just been like the third man, the low man on the totem pole. Traditionally, they've been a program that can hang with the likes of Ohio State and Penn State for the longest, especially in the Paterno era. So I would love for them to finally get there. But based on recent history, last 10, 15 years, you just figure Ohio State's going to beat them.
They didn't have Kotelnicki. I think he could really. I think that he's a difference maker that I haven't seen Penn State have in a long time at the offense coordinating spot. Yeah. Maybe my whole life.
Yeah.
And
at least since the 90s.
Yeah. Since freaking
early 2000s with Michael Robinson at quarterback, they had a dynamic offense. But since then, it's always kind of been like a mediocre offense.
I'm actually going to say, based on like Ohio State looking the way and they're trying to be Michigan. This is not like, if it was Ohio State from the past couple of years, I would say, yeah, they're going to roll. They're going to go into State College and just roll them. Based on the way I've seen them play this year.
You know what their problem is? White quarterback.
Yeah, well, and especially like Will Howard is not like fucking Dan Marino, so it's like you're just
white, not good arm quarterback. You're missing something that you had before.
Yeah. This is that edge you come for, the college football experience here. All right, let's talk Big 12. All right, Patty C's got Ohio State, Oregon. I'm going to say Penn State, Oregon in the Big Ten championship.
I hope you're right.
Big 12, buddy.
Yeah,
buckle up because this fucking race is going to be awesome.
This is the greatest conference
ever. It really is. It really is. BYU goes down to Orlando and just puts it on UCF 37-24. It was even worse than that. UCF dressed it up some.
Who called that one?
You were all over that. I took UCF. Ate shit on that one. Yeah.
I think if it wasn't for me kind of being a contrarian on there on that one, I think everyone understood why UCF should be the play. They played well enough to beat Ohio State the previous week. They probably should have won that game. BYU's locked it up a few times. It's a long road trip to go down to Florida but damn, did they show up.
Buddy, we need to have this conversation right now because I really think they have a pretty good shot. And the game I worry about is on November 23rd. All right. So Utah's fucking horrible. They're in last place in the Big 12, by the way. I
would have said that would have been a threat, but I think they go on the road.
It's still in Salt Lake City, but I can't see. I mean, we've seen TCU and Arizona go into Salt Lake City and take them down. I got BYU in the Holy War there. That's a rivalry game though, so it wouldn't surprise me if Utah won that.
Yeah.
But after
especially with who's the quarterback at BYU or
the brother of Wilson.
Yeah, the brother
Isaac Wilson.
There's a story. There's a story right there.
But you got to favor them in Salt Lake City, right?
Yeah.
And they have a bye week, by the way. They have a bye week coming in.
Utah and Salt Lake City.
No, I favor BYU.
Yeah,
I favor BYU.
Yeah.
Then I favor them at home against Kansas. In
Provo's what, like 15 minutes from BYU?
Yeah, it's like 20
still
minutes.
Still a super tough environment, but it's not like the travel itself is going to get to them.
Well, buddy, if they beat Utah, they have a home game against Kansas, and then at Arizona State, and then home to Houston. Arizona State's the one.
Dangerous.
I think you say, but dude, that's a realistic. I think if you're BYU right now, it's got to be like, oh my God, are you going to go 12-0?
They're good enough to go 12-0.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Kalani Sitake did not think he was this good of a coach. Didn't think he was a bad coach. Thought he was a really good coach, or at least a pretty darn good coach. But damn, 12-0 against a pretty darn legit Big 12. He's a good coach.
The fact he was on the hot seat, I clashed with some BYU. I was like, he's a good coach, man. He's a good coach.
Easy to see some racism at play there.
But yeah,
I mean, honestly, I hate to be racist, but like until you see like a coach of Polynesian, I guess Ken Niumatalolo, descent doing
that's not being racist.
It is a little racist to judge someone by their race. Like
I've never. I mean, I don't know how. I mean,
well, it's less about his race. It's more that he's a meathead running back coach. Is his background? He was a running back in college. It's like how many running backs have you ever seen?
D-line, right? He played D-line.
I thought he was running back. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I thought he was running back. But either way, to see an absolute meathead take a team 12-0, especially a team that like isn't more talented than everyone else they're playing against, that this suggests elite coaching, which you don't.
Dude, he was with Kyle Whittingham forever. Yeah, so Kalani Sitake was a fullback at BYU back in the day, right?
Yeah.
But he coached pretty much everything. He was Utah's DC under Whittingham, from 2009 to 2014, right?
Yeah, he was DC.
Yeah, and he was
for
also
5 years or 6 years. That's pretty.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like he was also Oregon State's DC in 2015 as well. Then he got hired. But yeah, I mean, look, I anyone that looks at it and saying, well, he's Polynesian, he can't coach, is a fucking moron because who cares? Who cares? Yeah. Like to me, the guy can win. I've always thought he was a good coach. BYU schedules were ridiculous. They were absolutely ridiculous.
He has done he's mostly exceeded expectations almost every year. So he might be an elite coach. Give it up to Kalani.
Yeah. So you're not being what you're saying is that you've never seen a Polynesian coach be successful, which is incorrect, by the way, because Niamatololo.
Niamatololo.
But
sure.
I mean, dude.
No, it's racist. It's racist. Just say that.
But what is racist? That think that did you have that
suggestion? The suggestion that a Polynesian coach couldn't be successful.
But who's thinking that? You?
Look, I'm just blaming myself for racism. I'm getting ahead of this thing. Is what's going on. But no, it's very much less about any genetic Polynesian aspect. It's the fact that he strikes me as the type of dude that's like a meathead, which is like if we're gonna go white guy, who's the guy that was at Arkansas right now? Port Pittman. Those dudes aren't normally. They can be, but they're not normally the X's and O's like studs that elevate an equally talented program of the other ones over other equally talented programs. But he's doing that. He has them legitimately, I think, kind of above head and I don't know if head and shoulders above, but they're above the rest of the Big 12 right now, right? I don't know. K-State,
Iowa State might be the one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they're playing above their talent level.
Shout out to Patty C, and that take's hilarious. I hate to be racist, but then he patches it up by saying, "I just meatheads. Meatheads is what you're looking for." You fucking kill me on how many episodes you come in hot with the statement. Well, I look. I hate to be racist, but
I'm feeling pretty racist right now, but.
Anyway, welcome to the college experience. Hopefully you look, I get your point on the meathead angle, but that could be any race. Like Tom Rathman.
Listen to the guy.
Tom Rathman was a fucking assistant coach. You're like kind of a meathead dude. I don't know if he really knows X's and O's, Mike Vrabel or something, kind of a meathead dude.
Yeah. Vrabel, I think elite kind of coach, probably, despite being an obvious meathead, So I don't know that maybe I'm just like, a little racist against meatheads or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's what it is. We've pinpointed your my
bias here.
Yeah,
it's against meatheads,
which is not racist. It's just anyone that lifts weights. You just don't think they could be successful as a head coach. I understand.
Anyone who barks at the camera, I question their championship credentials.
Yeah, Daniel's in the chat saying, "What about Biff Poggi?"
Different kind of meathead. He's a billionaire meathead.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm trying to talk Big 12 here. This conversation's a lot like the Big 12 title race, where anything can happen. Baylor 38, Oklahoma State 28. Nice win. Dave Aranda, is he going to coach himself back to Baylor next season? They're 4-4 now. They have.
What did they do in this game? What was the final on that one?
They won 38-28
against Oklahoma State. That's a big win. Yeah, it's nice.
They're home to TCU. They're at West Virginia. They're at Houston. They're home to Kansas. They're going to be a bowl team. Do you fire Aranda if he goes 6-6 again?
Nah, especially if he's winning late in the year. He's figuring it out, getting it turned around. That shows a good coach. If you're falling apart throughout the year, then that warrants firing. But if you're figuring it out throughout the year, then keep that dude.
You sure? You don't have is he a meathead?
I think Aranda comes across as like a smart guy, even though he's got the shaved head.
What racist thing can we say about Dave Aranda now?
I don't even know what race he is, but we'll figure something out.
Oh man,
he's ethnically ambiguous.
But he does not strike me as a meathead, by the way. He strikes me as like a computer, like a guy that's like up late, running things, just
running programs,
simulations about how to run the offense and the defense all night.
Yeah.
Shout out to Baylor though, because I like Dave Aranda a lot, man. I actually hope he stays there.
Yeah.
In
I thought he's
Baylor.
caught a whole lot of flack that wasn't warranted.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Texas Tech 34, TCU 35. Unbelievable game here, as TCU scores 14 in the fourth, and they kind of steal this win from Texas Tech. And this was huge because Texas Tech basically now has 2 losses in the Big 12. It looked like heading into the fourth quarter, I was like, damn, Texas Tech's going to be in the race to potentially play in the Big 12 championship here as we head into, October, 4th of July, Halloween. But they choked like they do so often. And TCU comes storming back. Crazy game.
Well, the irony of this is that wasn't it against UCF that they had a dominant lead and ended up losing 35-34. This time around, they have they're getting crushed. They come back and win 35-34. Karma shined on TCU today or yesterday, and they got the win. So Sonny Dykes clinging to that job.
Yeah. West Virginia, no Garrett Green. They go on the road, 31-26 against Arizona. Arizona's 3-5. Woo! Woo! Guess who took the under? Your boy Pick Dundee took the under on Arizona.
West Virginia found a way to lose that game.
No, they won that game.
Wait. Why was Moneyline Mac, bitch? Oh, they did win 31-26.
Because he wants a new head coach. West Virginia's going to end up going 6-6. You're going to keep Neil Brown for another year.
I saw it 31-13. I didn't look at the final score, and I assumed based on Moneyline Mac's reaction that they have lost, but they won. Why is he so mad?
Because he believes Saban can happen. He believes Signetti could happen, or Rich Rod. And trust me, you go 6-6, 7-5. You're gonna save your job. You're gonna save your job again. Neil Brown's been doing this for years, where you just do enough. All right.
What is their record right now?
4-4.
4-4. They need to be better than that. You're right.
They're gonna be 6-6 or 7-5, and then who knows if he gets fired.
What is West Virginia's remaining schedule?
Their remaining schedule is at Cincinnati this week, winnable.
That's a
home
loss.
to Baylor. I'm not going to say that's a loss at Cincinnati. West Virginia had a 10-point lead against Pitt with 3 minutes left. They can go into Cincinnati.
Oh,
and
it'll be an
win.
even matchup.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick, I'd take Cincy in Nippert. But you're right. That's hardly.
It's like home to Baylor.
45.
Home to Baylor, which is certainly
they
winnable.
Could win that. They
Home to
win
UCF. They're gonna beat UCF there.
I mean, they could go 3-1 or 4-0 even. I would project 2-2 down the stretch. So you're probably right. 6-6 is probably where they'll finish.
Then you have how about Utah losing to Houston? Willie Fritz moving to 3-5. I believe I'm 1 win away from the over.
That's a really bad loss, and that makes me think that maybe Whittingham is getting close to calling it. Do you think that's a possibility?
Well, the OC quit last week, so it's something they ain't smelling right there.
How old is Whittingham? Let me look this up.
He's a meathead. He's a meathead.
He is a meathead, but he's a smart meathead.
So white meatheads they pass the bar. Some white meatheads pass the bar to you.
We just identified Aranda as a ethnically ambiguous meathead that passed it. So don't try and pull that race card on me.
Okay.
Look, Kyle Whittingham looks like a smart meathead. There are differences because when was the last time you saw Kyle Whittingham barking at the fucking camera? That's the difference.
That's true.
Camera barkers.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone put Dan, I think it was Dan Quinn or one of these guys in the an NFL guy. Yeah. Any guy who just screams like you can tell an idiot when you look at him. Kyle Whittingham, though, 64 years old. There's still a lot of probably gas in that tank, right?
Yeah, if he wants to. I mean, NIL has got to be a pain in the ass, transfer portal, but if he wants to, yeah. Okay, let's get to the real games in the Big 12 here. Kansas State makes a 52-yard field goal to survive Kansas.
Wow.
29-27. Sunflower showdown there. Great game. And now they've won 17 straight, I believe it is, against Kansas.
15, 17, and somewhere up there.
Yeah, something like that. I forget. Since fucking Mark Mangino, who was he a meathead?
He probably deserved to be categorized as a meathead a little bit.
Buddy, K-State. I kudos to them. They're 7-1. In my opinion, they're a phony 7-1, but nice win.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they're a very phony 7-1. But look, the win over Colorado is looking better.
Huge, of course, of course.
I think it's legit. I think Colorado's pretty darn good, and I think for the Kansas State to beat them proves that they are a solid ass team.
They did beat them without Travis Hunter and Jimmy Horn, though.
Fuck Travis Hunter for not playing the rest of that game, but sure, yeah. Don't. You're a Colorado fan, so I can hardly talk to you on this.
Well, I can tell you this. K-State should have lost the Tulane. All right, and I will. Yeah. K-State deserved to beat Colorado that game, even though those players were out. Like K-State was better on the field than Colorado, but they should have lost to fucking Tulane.
Yeah,
Tulane was better on the field than Kansas State.
Yeah,
and Volt pick play that was not a pick. The corner comes up and hits him. I just don't think this. Like K-State is a team that can still make the playoffs. I grew up loving K-State, so
You're the last person that would ever throw shade on K-State.
Yeah, with the exception of them playing bitch ball in the Colorado game too.
Yeah,
but look, the remaining schedule at Houston, home to Arizona State, home to Cincinnati, and at Iowa State. All four of those they could get got.
At Houston.
That's dangerous.
Home, or is it?
That's dangerous to me.
Is it at Cincinnati, you said, or home to Cincinnati?
No, home to Arizona State, home to Cincinnati, at Iowa State.
They're gonna win the next three, and then the Farmageddon is gonna be for a spot in the Big 12 championship game, and it's gonna be fucking amazing. It's gonna be so great.
Well, you need Iowa State to win out too, but we'll get to that. They were on bye.
Iowa State's probably only gonna win potentially one game, which either way that puts them or lose one game that puts them still in a playoff with K-State in that final game of the season. Maybe not, because you have
who they got left. You got the Colorado Buffalo still alive, buddy. Colorado beats Cincinnati 34-23. Get your Cincinnati trash out of here. All right.
Holy shit. Look, I think Satterfield's doing okay with this team, but did you see the play at the end of the half?
Mm-hmm.
Well, did you see the decision to go for it on fourth down and Sorsby running directly into the back of the defensive line? It's like, dude, you're so white it hurts, right? They get stopped on 4th and 1, and then they turn the ball over, and then they let Travis Hunter 15 yards behind the deepest defender on the last play of the half.
Well, I don't get bring the comb.
It's those moments where I have to agree with you that Scott Satterfield might not be a great coach.
Well, I can tell you this, buddy. Colorado, we cashed our over 5.5 wins. When I say we, I say me and anyone that followed me. Easy play. They lead the Big 12 in sacks, Patty C. How about that?
That's nice. Yeah, Colorado has weapons. They are, and I think they've even gotten a little more stout on the defensive run. In fact, I think they've even learned how to run between the tackles a little bit.
A little bit.
Colorado, if things break their way,
happy with the running game, but yes,
they might be the best team in the Big 12 right now. Unfortunately, they are on the outside looking in.
Well, they're definitely alive. The Big 12, like, I have zero faith in any of these teams winning out. They have one loss in the Big 12, right? Yeah.
Let me ask you this: Colorado as a 10-2 team, any chance they get a college football playoff at-large invite?
Well, yes, because of TV ratings.
Yeah, they need Notre Dame to lose to Army. That would be huge.
they're at Texas, so they get a bye week. Then they're at Texas Tech. If they get that, they're home to Utah, which I do think they'll win. At Kansas, but that's not really at Kansas. That's at Arrowhead. And then home to Oklahoma State. They could easily win out. The Texas Tech game's huge.
I think they do. I think they're 10-2 at the end of this thing.
Yeah. Shout out to R. Right. Appreciate you giving us $20.
What a gent.
Well, dude, if they go 10-2, I definitely think there's a chance that they end up in the Big 12 championship, because I don't think just automatically everybody's going to win out. Like Texas, you're telling me, like, I know Iowa State's looked really good, but Iowa State still has what? They have Texas Tech this week. They're 10-point favorites, but I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Texas Tech
easily lose that game. Yeah.
They still have Texas Tech, Kansas. They have 5 games left. The other team, so Texas Tech, Kansas, Cincinnati, Utah, and K-State.
All those games are losable. All of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think.
But here's the thing: is all they have to do is like get through 3-1 until the final, through these next 4, and then assuming K-State is able to win out until that game as well. Who does K-State have before the Iowa State game?
That would be.
They have Cincy on deck too. I know, but they get them at home.
K-State has before the Farmageddon matchup. And how about the possibility of us getting 4 straight Farmageddon matchups? We could end the season with Kansas State. I'm sorry, Iowa State, Kansas State regular season. Then that could be a first round playoff matchup. It could be. And then
the regular season, do the Big 12 championship.
Yes.
Do the first round of the
Big 12
playoffs.
championship. And then opening week 0 in Ireland next year. Wouldn't that be incredible?
Would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be incredible? But K-State, by the way, plays Cincinnati. Yeah, the week before. I don't know. It's gonna be fascinating. I got no idea what's happening in the fucking Big 12.
Look, here's what I see happening. Obviously, I see BYU kind of finding themselves, whether it be with 1 loss or undefeated in the Big 12 championship game. I see the Iowa State versus K-State game being for the other spot. If some carnage happens before then, Colorado could sneak their way in. And I think if Colorado does find their way in, they're probably right now the best team in the Big 12. But it seems like a pretty long shot. And so they're playing for an at-large.
I don't think it's a long shot at all. I mean, I'm saying to
me,
all
these teams would have to lose twice, I think.
Why?
Twice. Although Iowa State doesn't have a
head-to-head. They don't play Iowa State.
Colorado State. Right.
Or BYU.
K-State,
they don't play
K-State
BYU.
K-State does have a
but K-State could have 4 losses by then.
Well, they could, right? But K-State needs 2 more losses in their next 4 games.
No, 1 more loss.
Yeah, they know because they have the tiebreaker. Oh, but you're right, because they have 1 conference loss. You're right. Okay,
yeah,
so they only need 1 more. All right, yeah, maybe, but 2 more losses, because if they only have 1 more loss, only one of Colorado's losses are in conference.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Right. Colorado's very much alive, very much alive. Yeah. Shit, I almost think it's like
50-50.
I mean, who knows with all these games? Colorado could lose to Texas Tech, but I'm just saying, like,
Big 12's fucking lit at the end of the year.
Complete shit show. A lot of fun. We got to talk ACC and then Group of 5 real quick. I know we're running into the wee hours here, but ACC. Pitt is undefeated. Patty C. They beat Syracuse 41-13. They're 7-0.
Holy shit! That was not a replicatable win that they just did. 5 picks, 3 pick sixes.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes you got it going. Pitt certainly did on what was that? Friday.
Yeah. Pitt is at SMU this week. Huge game. Glad to see they put it on ESPN Plus, ACC Plus.
Really giving them their respect.
Great job as 2 teams that are combined 14-1, and with the 1 loss being to an undefeated team in it by single digits. Great job with the marketing there. But Pitt looks good, 7-0. Louisville somehow beat Boston College. We were on that.
What a comeback.
Virginia Tech looked like shit, but they won 21-6. Your Wahoos ate shit to
Virginia
Carolina.
Virginia Tech real quietly keeping themselves alive in not only obviously the ACC, but what that means is the playoff conversation. It's so quiet. They're the quietest like playoff contender in the whole country, I think. But they're very much alive. All they got to do is who they
I'm gonna
got
say
next
Washington
week?
State. Washington State is, but then Virginia Tech, right?
Yeah, they're just equally as quiet. You're right.
Robert Martin asked you to
Virginia did
explain
get
the New Year's
smashed by
Six.
US. Explain it in what way?
What it means, I guess he's asking, is a New Year's Six bowl. So in the 4-team playoff, that means you would make one of the premier bowl games.
Well, New Year's Six obviously was like the 6 fucking bowl games.
Well, now with the 12-team playoff, what does that even mean, right?
Well, now that's the semifinals and the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
are the same bowl.
Yeah.
And then they have the other 4 games, however many. Yeah, 4 games at the home sites for the 12 through 8. I don't fucking know, but New Year's Six, I don't know.
Let's talk about the Hokies though.
Yeah,
they're at Syracuse, they're home to Clemson, they're at Duke, they're home to Virginia. Duke is like sudden. Like I was really impressed with Duke, even though they shit the
Duke
bed.
is a little bit of a concern. Wait, who's the next one?
Syracuse this weekend in the Carrier Dome.
That's a tough one.
That filthy Carrier Dome.
That's a tough one. But look, again, like I hate to be such like an old, like outdated dinosaur here, but I feel like Foster, his fingerprints are still all over Virginia Tech's program. And I know he's working behind the scenes, and I know Pry was only an assistant for him for 1 year as a graduate assistant all the way back in 95, but they still have a defense that is schematically like able to stop the pass. That's what they were able to do with Miami. And I think, Syracuse, a pass oriented team, they'll probably shut them down even on the road and find themselves hosting Clemson for what will likely be a spot in the ACC championship game, depending on
Whoa.
Pitt and SMU will certainly have something to say about that too. So,
what about so you got Pitt, SMU,
and Miami? Yeah, I mean,
so
if SMU hosting Pitt, if Pitt wins that, then obviously Pitt versus Miami because they're both undefeated. But if SMU wins that, then you have a 1-loss SMU. And then whoever wins the Clemson Virginia Tech game will also have 1 loss in conference. So it's kind of a coin flip at that point as to who gets the conference championship. It's kind of fucked up. We're going to see a lot of, committees and the top 25 deciding who gets into these conference championship games. That's why divisions were better.
Well, you can't. But now you have 47 teams in a conference.
Yeah.
Your Wahoos got destroyed by North Carolina. I told you take the road team every time in that matchup.
Well, let me ask you this. Tony Elliott, should he be fired now? Not yet, but man, I think he's got 4 straight losses that are almost guaranteed on deck. If you lose 7 straight games to end the season in your 3rd season and you haven't gone bowling in any of your 3 seasons, you should get fired, right?
Yeah.
He's got to go.
I agree. Shout out to Wake Forest going into to the farm and getting that dub 27-20 or 24. Wake has Cal at home, at North Carolina, at Miami, and home to Duke. If they get 2 of those, they're bowling. Dave Clawson, the legend of Dave Clawson, continues.
Hell of a win all the way out in Palo Alto.
Cal 44, Oregon State 7. What the fuck? Cal should be undefeated, but they're gonna end up in the Rice-A-Roni Bowl. Miami 36, Florida State 14.
Did you eat shit on the Cal?
I took Oregon State. Yeah, I did. Did.
Whoopsie, we all did. Yeah.
But I hit on Carolina. I had Carolina on the money line, and I also had Louisville. I'm sorry, I had Boston College with the points against Louisville. I ate shit on SMU though. Want to talk about Florida State being the only team in the FBS to not reach 21 points yet this year, or 20 points or more.
What? They haven't gotten 20? Oh man. That's
the
tough.
only team in the FBS. 21. More than the stat is more than 21. By the way, more than 21 points in a game.
Is he gonna get fired?
Buddy, what's their final record here?
I think they get 2.
Yeah, Charleston Southern, 2-10.
Let's look at Mike Norvell's career season by season record. If I can get this quickly pulled up, but
Can Mac Brown get his first win against his alma mater this week? Carolina, the perfect game for him to announce his retirement.
I sent you a link. Yeah, apparently he's expected to mutually part ways with North Carolina at the end of the season. So a great way to ride off into the sunset for Mac Brown, beating his alma mater for the first time. That would be nice. Of course, I think we're all rooting for that. Here we go. I got this pulled up. Mike Norvell at Florida State, 3-6, 5-7, 10-3, 13-1. So getting better every year for 4 years. But then presumably 2-10. Should that get you fired?
No.
His overall record at that point, with how many more losses would that be?
How the fuck do you go 2-10?
Four more losses.
Yeah.
If he's 70-43, that probably should keep your job, right?
Yeah, that keeps him. And then they go to the portal again.
Yeah.
But that shit, I don't know if that's proven that every year you can just pick up an awesome portal team.
Yeah. You're not really building shit. You're just like testing your marketability at that point.
SMU 28, Duke 27. Duke looked really good in that loss, I thought, but SMU.
Holy crap. What a choke by Duke. Lined up for like the chip shot, 30-yard game-winning field goal in regulation. And the dude jumps over the guard's head and blocks it. That's a choke. That's a classic choke. Congrats to SMU for getting that done.
Yeah. Unbelievable there. Patty C, what's the ACC championship in December there at that Bank of America Stadium, which is like the best stadium for the Power 4 conference championships.
It's tough to say. It really a lot depends on that Pitt SMU game. If Pitt wins that, then it's going to be Pitt Miami. But actually, Pitt has a pretty tough schedule the rest of the way. I think it's still Miami Clemson. What about you?
Yeah, I could see Clemson losing at Virginia Tech or Pitt.
Yeah, Clemson doesn't have like that extra gear that
I think Miami's in. Unfortunately, I think Miami's in.
Miami's going undefeated.
Yeah,
Miami's going undefeated. They'll be the 1 seed in the playoff.
They're going to lose too. I can't wait.
What?
They're not going to win
in the playoff.
Miami's not going to win one game in the playoffs.
Here's where Miami really lucks up, though, is they're going to play the 4 seed or the 5 seed or the 12 seed. Those are the 3 possibilities that they play in the second round. I think they'll probably be better than most of those teams. Not
if Boise's the 12.
Miami versus Boise, and presumably that'll be somewhere on the East Coast. That's questionable, but I still think Miami might come out on top of that.
No, I mean, yeah, maybe, but I'm saying I think Boise is a better coach team. I think they're a better coach team. Yeah. So that would, I mean, Boise should have beat Oregon. They should have.
As the 1 seed, they'd be one of the weakest 1 seeds you could ever fucking imagine. So yeah, them losing in their first game, very possible.
Yeah. So your ACC championship is okay. So we're there. Let's talk Group of 5 before we get out of here. UNLV got destroyed by Boise on the line of scrimmage.
Okay.
No, on the line of scrimmage. I said.
Yeah. Even still, they did a decent job of bottling up Travis Genty
Ashton Genty.
Ashton Genty. Yeah.
Boise is Army gonna run away with this? Is Boise?
Army Notre Dame is everything.
Hold on, I want to talk about that Notre Dame bullshit.
What?
Navy had beaten nobody. Now kudos. Navy's best win was Memphis. Every other team they played had a losing record, right?
I'm not gonna fade or shit on Notre Dame. But I'm just
saying if they're gonna milk this thing as a quality win, fuck off. You know what I mean?
Well, also Navy, you're right, looked just like completely overwhelmed with the task to the point where they were making mistakes that any high school team. like the kickoff. I don't know when it was, beginning of the second half or sometime early in the second half, and it bounces off the guy's face mask and goes out of bounds at like the 3-yard line. And he just stands there for 5 seconds, like, what the fuck just happened? It's like everyone else in the stadium, everyone on TV is singing the same thing you are. It's like, what the fuck just happened? And then, like, the next play, Horvath just drops the ball in the end zone and Notre Dame recovers. What am I watching? What are you fucking doing? Aren't you an undefeated team right now? It's so bad. Notre Dame just crushed them.
Here's why I can't get behind this. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. If Notre Dame loses to USC or Army or Virginia or whoever, Florida State, they don't belong in the playoff. I even right now have a hard time talking myself into them at 11-1 being a playoff team.
I disagree. I think Notre Dame's pretty good. I think
Northern Illinois just lost to Ball State.
I think that game was an aberration. I think
that doesn't matter. You can't. Okay. You cannot lose to a team that fucking bad and not play in a conference.
I don't buy the conference shit as much as you do.
Well, you don't play an extra game, dude. First off, you don't play an extra game.
Any team that goes 11-1 that plays the equivalent to a Power 5 schedule, which is debatable whether Notre Dame.
That's not a Power 5 schedule, dude.
What is Notre Dame's schedule? Let me pull that up.
How many good teams are you playing on this schedule?
Yeah, rattle it off, because I don't have it pulled up yet.
A&M, good. Northern Illinois, not Purdue,
good, yeah.
Not
But
Miami,
Power 5.
Ohio, not Louisville, yes.
Yeah.
Stanford, no. Georgia Tech, no. Navy, no. Florida State, no. Virginia, no. Army, yes, but you got lucky on that. But USC, yes. You're getting like four fucking tough games.
Eight Power 5 teams. It would be like the equivalent of an SEC schedule with like no hard non-conference games because how many group of fives? 1, 2, 3, 4 group of fives in Northern Illinois, Miami, Ohio.
And you ready for my final point?
Yeah.
And if the committee, they'll never look at this because the committee's corrupt. Three real road games. Horseshit. This is horseshit. This is utter horseshit. Washington State,
11-1 still deserves.
Washington State should get in way before them. Way before them.
Well, I would need to see a head-to-head comparison between their teams, but I would say Washington State and Notre Dame's schedules would be close, and so if Notre Dame is a shoo-in,
no.
All right, well,
one has a loss at Boise State.
Yeah, well, you're right. The loss for Notre Dame is a massive deduction in terms of.
But they're not going to look at it because it's all fucking rigged.
Yeah.
Washington State should be ranked ahead of Notre Dame, without question. To me, like it's phony.
But
I don't care that they barely beat Texas Tech or Washington.
Solid wins. Okay, I would say
it's not A&M. It's not A&M, but like Texas Tech, I think has the same record, or if not, I think they have the same record as Louisville.
That's a quality win.
Yeah,
that's a respectable win. A&M is Texas Tech until this weekend was in control of their own destiny as a Big 12 contender, I believe.
Yes, they were.
Yeah,
but my point, it's just ridiculous. Don't get me started because that Northern Illinois, you lose to fucking Ball State. I'm sorry, you should not like. If you go 11-1. It shouldn't even be a guarantee that you're in with that schedule. With 3 away games, fucking away games.
Well, especially with teams like Wazoo out there that are completely being overlooked, you should be closely scrutinized, and those resumes should be looked at very closely, because you're right. I don't know that one is necessarily better than the other, and maybe Wazoo has the better of the two.
Buddy, that's the worst loss of anybody in the fucking top 25.
Yeah. What is NIU's record right now?
4-4.
4-4. Just an absolute average MAC team.
And no, they're gonna, dude. I got news for you. They might be 5-7 to end the season. They need to hope that they go 6-6.
Who does NIU have left?
They're at Western Michigan. Western Michigan's favored. They're home to Akron. I mean, they should.
They win that, but Akron.
Yeah, but Akron beat Eastern Michigan this past week.
Yeah.
At Miami, Ohio, who won the MAC last year, so I would favor Miami, Ohio.
Yeah.
And then home to Central Michigan, which is to me a 50-50 game. I would favor them against Akron.
Very possible, yeah.
Dude, get the fuck out of here. I hate that argument with their shit, man. Yeah.
I don't think Notre Dame's a bad team. They may have the worst loss, but I feel like they have the potential to beat a lot of teams. Obviously,
that schedule though from the start to me was so bad. You should
not be rewarded on principle for that level of pussy scheduling.
I said this back in June. I was like, dude, this schedule is ridiculous. This is a horrible fucking schedule. And if they lose, and I wasn't even thinking Northern Illinois. I was thinking if they lost to Louisville or something. I don't know. It's like
Virginia.
They should be paying attention to how shitty the schedule is. Because at the end of the year, really, how many winning teams are on the schedule? Like Power 5 programs, right? A&M, and Louisville.
That's it.
USC might be 6-6.
Louisville might not even finish a winning record. What are they? 5-3?
5-3. They could not. Yeah, they have some tough games still left. Yeah. So there's a chance. We know Virginia's going to have a losing record.
What about Georgia Tech? Georgia Tech's sitting on what?
Georgia Tech is 5-4 right now, but they have Georgia on the schedule, Miami on the schedule, and NC State on the schedule. They're going to be at best 6-6.
All right. So anyway, what do we got? What do we touch on? Group of 5, Army. Yeah. What do you have? What is your projection for? Boise?
I got Boise. I think Boise is the best
Boise
team
coming out. But if Army beats Notre Dame and finds a way to win the AAC championship game, which they, the next game that's massive there, and I don't know, is this next week or maybe it's 2 weeks? I don't know. I haven't checked.
What are we talking?
Navy versus Tulane.
No, I believe that's 2 weeks from now, I think.
Because whoever wins that will face Army in the AAC championship game and will likely be the difference between Army going to the playoff or not going to the playoff. Although, obviously, if Army loses to Notre Dame, then you have to put Boise as the top seed. But if Army beats Notre Dame, undisputedly, all Army have to do is win the AAC championship. Undefeated Army with a win over Notre Dame. Would you think they should get in over Boise or just that they will?
I would because Boise's got the win against Washington State too. That'd be 11-1 if for forecasting.
Still, an undefeated Army with a win over Notre Dame will get in over a 1-loss.
No, but they will, but I don't know that they should because Boise's got a 3-point loss at Oregon. They beat a potential 11-1 Washington State.
Yeah.
You're
right.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact also that it's Army.
You're not going to be able to fuck over Army. That's what's great about it. They're these fucking slime balls. They're not going to be able to run that one pat. They want to, but they can't. They can't do that. Anyway, folks, we'll talk about it more on the Tuesday pick show Tuesday night. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And shout out to my East Carolina Pirates for hitting for us. Big cash. And shout out to the Tulsa Golden Hurricane for being down 35-7 and winning outright for old Pick Dundee.
And also for having some of the ugliest uniforms in all of college. Red, blue, and gold. Let's figure something out here. What are we, the London Monarchs here? Let's go.
Shout out to Kevin. Love you guys. You'll never hear the words "I hate to be racist," but on ESPN or Fox.
It's because they're pussies.
It wasn't even racist. All right. That's what I hate about his assessment is like he does this every week.
Well, look, I feel like if people accuse you of automatically being racist, if you preface your statement with "I don't want to be racist," but look, if you don't preface what I was saying with that, then you probably are racist, right? I have to preface like, hey, I don't want to be racist here, but have we ever seen a fucking meathead Polynesian be a great coach? Well, I guess we have now, and we had before, kind of. Niamato. Would you say Niamato is a bit of a meathead?
Well, he played quarterback at Hawaii, but it was Paul Johnson quarterback. So I think you have to be a meathead to play for Paul Johnson at the quarterback spot.
Also, here is an actual racist statement. I think if you're Polynesian, you're probably a bit of a meathead. There are exceptions to that rule, certainly, but I would say
is that of your deep analysis of Dan Salimoa?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's all the NFL defensive linemen that have completely kicked ass over the years, but most Polynesians are ass kickers, which equates to meathead. So anyway.
Oh man. Anyway, folks, subscribe to the College Football Experience, youtube.com/the College Experience. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter at Patty C831. Let him know let him know a good meathead. Mike Ditka was a fucking meathead, dude, and he won a Super Bowl.
They come from all races. Yeah, that's true. A meathead can be a great coach. That's true.
Yes. So I don't know what the whole point of the episode was, but we'll be back on Tuesday. All right. I'm on Twitter at @TheColbyD. The College Football Experience is on Twitter at TCE on SGPN. Please, Spotify 5-star review. Do it. All right. Get on over there. Also, we got college basketball right around the corner. The College Basketball Experience. Make sure you check that out every single night of the season. We're talking college hoops. And I'm working on a meathead college basketball. Is there any meat? We need like
who are the meathead college basketball coaches? There's got to be some.
There's got to be some. I'm quickly processing in my brain. Does Mark Pope count as a meat? No, we definitely had some though. We definitely have had some meathead coaches before.
Got some.
I'll do a deep dive on that. Till next time, folks. This is the College Football Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot. And the whole team's